ready anyway, because we just felt the relationship had collapsed a bit, and there were more important priorities for them, not us anymore. And we thought, hey, we were such close friends with these people, and now we feel like we're left out, and we feel ignored and not respected and all that sort of stupid stuff. So let's go work with a bunch of completely anonymous people that just give us some money, let us go off and do our own stuff in our own time, in our own studio, don't bother us at all, we don't let them in, don't let them come to the studio, just keep them right way over there, and then we just deliver them the records, and then because they know how to sell records, they'll sell us lots of records, won't they? How stupid would we have been that we actually thought that was going to happen. But then that's why we did it. And there you have it.
What was the end like?
Of the band? Inevitable, I suppose. I mean, the story that some of you will not, of course, know is that the relationship that Robin and Liz had ended around about, just before Forthcoming, the cafe was made, so I guess around about 93, something like that, after having Las Vegas. Obviously, we probably should have broken up then. It would have made a lot more sense, because the two main protagonists in the band break up, but the band stays together. Just looking at it now, it's like, what weird. It's kind of weird that we did it, but I think we did it because the music just meant everything, and then that was really the only thing we really had, and that's why I think we carried on, because we knew that if we didn't, we'd probably just all be dead, it was like that important. But, getting on a tour bus for 7 months, a month after you've just broken up with your partner of however many years, it's not something I recommend. And I was the middleman, I was the referee.
You describe yourself on your Facebook page as political consultant at Cocteau Twins.
Yeah, that's my way of dealing with it, That's exactly what it was. But I mean, the amount of time and effort I put into trying to repair or just sort of keep this whole thing together, it did take its toll. It took a toll on my own marriage. My own marriage ended as a result of, it's not all because of that, but that's a huge part of it. So, I think you just have to kind of look back at it and go, well, there's lots of lessons to be learned there. And that's how I look at this whole period. It's like massive lessons learned, and if you can't learn from the shit that went on there, you can learn anything. But yes, it was a stressful breakup. But because I'm sure you all know people that have come out of recovery. It's wonderful that they're out of recovery, that they're recovering, and that they're adhering to the program and whatnot. But there's also a lot of therapy stuff that's a bit insufferable, and I think we were all a bit insufferable in our own way. And being in a bus, living on top of each other, for 7 months. I just had my second child. My second child was, he was born 2 weeks after he was born. I went away on tour, and I didn't see it until he was like almost a year old. Wow. So it's a toll being in a band that's sort of doing pretty well. But the thing is, we never really got the rewards that, certainly none of the financial ones, and ultimately none of the emotional ones either, because the band broke up. So what did I do? I threw myself into this record label we just started. So following the disaster with the major label, which I described a minute ago. One of the ways we thought, well, let's start our own label, for putting out our own records, the Cocteau's releases. solo records and collaborations and all that kind of thing.
Sure.
We've got our own. We had this beautiful. Well, we own it. We rented this beautiful studio in the south of London in Pete Townshend's old place from the Who, and a wonderful fucking place right on the river. Idyllic, expensive but idyllic. And the major label money paid for that rent, right? So we're in this beautiful studio, we're making these records, and the band's a fucking mess, and we're going off on tour, and I'm thinking, don't know how we're keeping this together, but let's get back in the studio and make another record. And that's sort of how we sort of bulked from one end of the spectrum to the other. But then I think Elizabeth was in a new relationship now, happy. Did she want to come back into this thing every day and have this stress of being with, spending a lot of time with somebody she didn't really want to spend a lot of time with? So she just rang me up one day and said, I can't do it anymore. We were in the middle of a new album. And it was probably would probably have been quite an interesting record, because Elizabeth was actually writing music, which was something she'd never done before. She'd only ever come in at the end. But I should also add that the way we recorded our music, wrote and recorded our music, is quite old as well. So we would finish all the music completely. The whole album would be finished musically. Before Elizabeth even sang a note.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'd finish almost 10 instrumentals.
Wow.
And we never recorded more than 10 songs at any one stretch.
Wow.
So when we finished the 10th, we wouldn't do any more.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
Wow,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's like, now I know how other people work. I'm like, it's weird, isn't it?
Why?
Well, because that was enough.
Okay.
10 was we always wanted to have 5 on each side.
Yeah.
10 was right.
Yeah,
You know, 10's a good number. And,
B-sides and...
Well, here's the story. So we would do our 10 and we'd go, oh, this is good. And Liz would come in and do 10, and then we'd have to pester her for titles. And, she'd take ages over that because she didn't like doing that much. And we'd pester her some more. And then we'd be like, Liz, we've got to go on tour in a month. We've got to get the fucking thing finished. Come on. So she'd hurry up, and then we'd deliver the record, and then the label would come back and say, so, okay, we think this should be the single, what do you guys think? And we'd go, oh, well, maybe, we need some B-sides. We're like, oh, shit, yeah. So we'd go back in the studio in our own improvising turn record on kind of way and make up some new songs.
That's brilliant.
But unfortunately, some of those songs, because we were kind of on a roll at that point, we'd just finished a record, we were feeling pretty good. They were often better than the record. But it was too late by then because we already delivered the album.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of the B-sides are so popular with people, because they're really good. Yeah, they're not B-sides, because who goes in and writes a B-side? I know. I go in and write something that's not really very good because it's...
Sorry, when I asked that question, I actually now feel like I was insulting the process.
I understand, because what usually happens is that you write a body of songs and you go, well, out of these 20, this 10 is good, and these other ones we can maybe use when Japan wants an extra track on the CD or something. And we never did that. Right. We just went, oh, we have to write another one? Oh, okay, let's go in and write another one. And it would often be better. Yeah.
Oh,
so, can't remember the story now, but we've been swinging backwards and forwards from record to record. Yeah. But going back to the breakup and whatnot, at the start of Bella Union, I suppose. So we said, let's start a label. Then we don't have to deal with stupid people at majors, because we really was finding that a struggle. And I'm sure they couldn't stand working with us neither. So we started the label. We had a nice little office in our studio. We had a letterhead and a logo and all that stuff, and some postcards printed up. And then Liz calls and says, can't do it. I just felt at a bit of a loose end, to be honest. Sorry, I got some gas from...
Yes, same here. Yeah, I was been a bit gassy after my coffee. Trying not to belch and go down in the mic.
Belching into microphones, not good for you.
Yeah.
yeah, so it was a bit of a like, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? Because we were in this fucking expensive studio. If there was no band anymore, like, what do I do with my life? So we just put out some things. You know, I was working on a solo record that I wasn't crazy about, but it felt like, well, I guess I could finish it and put that out. You know, so that was the first release on Bell the Union. And then we met these lovely guys from a band called Dirty Three at a festival, and they said, you know, we're looking for a label, and we were like, we've got one. You know, not having ever really thought we were going to sign any other bands. But you know, it sort of petered along for it rolled along slowly for a few years, but then there was a definite friction between Robin and I in terms of the label and stuff, because he very much didn't want to have a record label.
Okay, all right.
He did when it was going to be like for our band.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But as soon as it was like for other bands, he was not interested really. So one thing led to another. This beautiful studio ended up becoming an absolute albatross, and we went bankrupt, and we lost. I mean, another thing you should know about the Cocteau Twins is that any money we ever made, we spent on gear. And when I mean gear, I mean, yes, a lot of it on that kind
Could
of
go
gear.
one of two ways.
Yeah, that gear, and then
There's the other gear.
The other gear, like outboard gear and pedals and stuff for the studio. Yeah, I don't know what the percentage between the two was. Certainly, everything we bought, we lost. So like all the beautiful guitars, we were kind of real tech heads about it as well. It was gear that we made our records with. The studio was like our like another instrument in the band really, because we were never a band that just plugged guitar into an amp. We didn't really use amps until we went on tour. We just plugged it into some thing what we might have bought, like a delay or a chorus or some reverbs or something. We just made some strange sounds, and that's how we created our songs. We wrote them from the inspiration of the sound, not the inspiration of the sound of the guitar. Because the sound of the guitar on its own to us was like boring. So wow, I'm just swinging backwards and forwards here. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time.
I'm loving it.
It's because you're just letting me swing.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah.
Must be really hard to follow.
No, not at all.
Excellent.
No.
You're all as mad as me then.
Yeah,
That's good.
We've got a very partisan mad crowd here.
That's good to know. Tell me if I'm talking too much. Well, I guess I have to be.
If you want to sit there in silence, we can do one of them bits.
It just feels like it's all about me.
It
I just realised it actually is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we sorted that out. I can relax a bit now, because I was expecting to talk to you as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you.
Okay.
It goes the way it goes.
So it goes the way it goes.
Yeah.
There's a song in there somewhere. I think the label thing just sort of happened. You know, I ended up doing it because no one else wanted to do it, and I didn't really know what else to do. And here we are 20 years later, and I can't really work out how that happened. You know, how...
I'll tell you how it happened.
We got from here to there to here.
You sign really amazing music, and I've got, I've got quite a lot of mates here tonight, but I've got two mates, Andy and Dave over there, who went to see Fleet Foxes on that first British tour and were mind blown.
Yeah, they were.
Cried during that gig. I think you did as well, Dave, didn't you? We both had tears. We looked at each other, and it was
I did too. That was one of the most incredible experiences of the label. Obviously, it was what took us from being a kind of a label that a few people would know about to being much better known. Sold 1 million records in the UK. That's like
really
what is that all about? We got excited about selling, a couple of thousand before that, and absolutely crazy. It will never happen again, never, or not with my label anyway. And I'd be surprised if it happened with any other indie label. I mean, how do you sell 1 million records nowadays? It's not even possible.
I had no idea it sold that many.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. and it was incredible to be part of. You know, given how I was before I found that band, which was about to jack it all in.
Really?
You know, I was like, fuck. We put out the Fionn Regan album called End of History.
Yeah, great album.
Absolutely beautiful acoustic kind of album. Was nominated for Mercury Prize in 2007, and we put out The Trials of Van Occupantha by Midlake, another
brilliant album, yeah.
superb album. And whilst they were both really superb records, I was very disappointed at how they sold. And I kind of took that personally, if you know what I mean. I felt guilty that we hadn't really done a good job for the bands. And I know why. You know, we had you know, keeping an indie label going is today it's probably even harder, but at that point it's like a massive pendulum swing of money that you get in from a distributor because you've persuaded them that you've got this amazing band that's going to sell lots of records. So they go, oh, okay, then here's 10 grand.
Sure.
You go in. And then you spend it on making the record, on manufacturing the record, on whatever. And then you haven't got any anymore. And then the record comes out, and then a bit comes in.
Sure, yeah.
But of course, if the record doesn't sell very well, not much comes in, and you're kind of like, oh shit, how do I get to the next month? How do I pay all my staff? How do I pay the bills? It's, you know, it's like running a small business. It's like, how the hell do we function? And every month I was getting to the end of the month thinking, how much longer I can do this? It's so stressful. But we managed it somehow. But with those two records, we sold about 30,000, 40,000 of each, which is not terrible, but by anyone's stretch. But I think I felt disappointed. I thought the Midlake record should sell 1 million. You know, I was like,
yeah, it's a great album.
So upset about it. I went to Norway that year to a festival called Oya, and I was like a guest of the owner of the festival. And I am a very positive person, right? I'm a really like determined kind of person. I'm driven to do this. I believe I've got something to offer, and I don't get down about it. I'm like positive. That's kind of my thing. And I was really fucking miserable in Norway, and I couldn't work out why. And I think it was just this sort of, I don't know if I'm really doing that great a job at this. I've obviously. I think my taste is good, but can I run a business? Can I, you know, can I get these records out into more people's pockets, into more people's houses? And I was, you know, being a real misery about it and hating myself for being such a misery about it. And I was sitting down by this fjord, by this fella's house, and it was so beautiful. And I thought. You know how like when you go away on holiday and that, and you get some sort of physical distance from your life.
Yeah.
You are able to have that perspective to kind of look back on your life or look down upon your life and go, oh yeah, I know what I've been doing wrong. You know that feeling? I'm sure you all had it when you go away from your life, which is so full up and crazy, and you go away for a few days and you're like, I know what I need to do. Is that perspective?
Yeah.
I had this, I know what I need to do. I need to stop doing it. I need to stop doing this label because it's making me miserable. And then about 10 minutes later, I was like, I'm such a fucking idiot. You know, this is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
Get on with yourself. Get over yourself. And I went back to my room that night, and I turned on the computer, and I got an email from a booking agent friend in America who was Beach House's agent, who we were already working with. And he was like, hey man, I just saw this cool band, they've only played like 2-3 shows, thought you might quite like them, blah blah, here's their MySpace. Remember that? MySpace, that's something you don't hear very often. I used to love MySpace for a while though, it was awesome, wasn't it? That kind of weird thing of clicking on a thing and then something else, and you just find yourself in this sort of weird world at 4 o'clock in the morning. I do have a Bandcamp now. I'm a Bandcamp obsessive. It was MySpace in the old days. So I went to this link and I clicked on this link and it took me to Fleet Fox's MySpace page. And they only had one tune up there. It was a demo version of White Winter Hymnal. And I pressed play, and within 10 seconds, probably 15 seconds, I was like, okay, I have to sign this band. If I don't sign this band, I'm giving it all up. But this is what I'm here for. I have to sign it. I knew that moment it was like nothing else. There was nothing else. I mean, I know we hindsight again, it gives clouds the issue a little bit, because you hear lots of things that sound like Fleet Foxes now. But at that moment in time, with those harmonies and the way they did it, there was nothing else like that. Well, not in my network of music. It wasn't.
No, there wasn't anything, I don't think.
So I wrote you used to be able to write to the band on MySpace. You can click on like send the band a message. So I kind of wrote this sort of 48 page love letter to.
Go on,
to
what
the
did you
band.
say?
Oh, just like I just think this is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard, and I don't know if you know what I do, but I do this, and we've got these bands.
Did you tell them who you were? I mean, did you say I was
Yeah. I mean, I didn't lay it on too thick, but I mean, I wrote a letter that I knew he would read.
Right.
Put it
Okay.
that way. And I don't self-edit. I don't read back. I just write it and send it. That's what.
Yeah.
Everyone who knows me will know that I do that, because sometimes I really wish I hadn't, and I'm like writing back 10 minutes later. I'm really sorry. I really like you, actually. I do just kind of write things and send them off.
Great.
Because I just feel that's honest, the right way to be, and I sent it, and I kind of knew that he would respond. Robin would respond, and he did, and he wrote me back that same night, but I didn't see it till the morning when I woke up. And he was like, that was a lovely letter to read, thank you so much, yes, of course, I know your band, I know your label, big fan of Midlake's Band Up Your Panther, and I was like, awesome, that's good. And just so happens, I'm in fucking Norway.
No way.
No, I'm not even joking. So the Pecknolds...
What are the chances, eh?
The Pecknolds' ancestry is
Yeah.
Norwegian. And he was over with his sister and his brother, like following his ancestors, checking it all out. And I'm like, well, do you want to meet up then? And he was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So we met up and we got on like a house on fire, and we carried on talking, and I said, I wanted to manage them as well at that point. I don't just want to be your label, I want to be your manager. And I was getting, very carried away with it all, I'm sure. And we talked a lot, exchanged mails a lot, and I felt, I think this is going to happen. But then the band started getting a lot more attention, It wasn't, when they played South by Southwest the following year, that's when it all kind of went totally mad. This was like in August, September the previous year. Okay. So it was only like a very few people inside the industry were kind of talking about them, but still it was under the radar. But I'd heard that Sub Pop, the wonderful indie label in Seattle, their hometown, were of course they would be, wouldn't they? Were very interested to sign the band. But then I spoke to Robin, and I said, how's it all going? He said, oh, it's great. We're talking to Sub Pop, and I was like, oh, great, awesome. Well, no, because I was assuming that they would sign to Sub Pop in America, but I was, hoping that he would sign to me to Bell Union for Europe. And I think he knew that that's what I meant, because that's why I was talking to him. Let's face it. So it went a bit quiet for a month, and I started getting really anxious about it, and this is coming out of it. Good one. I started getting a bit anxious about it, and somebody told me that they were going to sign to Sub Pop for the world, and I was like, oh, okay, shit, that sucks. So I basically wrote him a letter. No, he wrote me and said, listen, that's it. He wrote me and said that we're going to sign for the world. Hope you understand. But it's just so easy. And I went, I totally get it. I would probably do exactly the same thing if I was you, because you're just around the corner from the office. It's one piece of paper. It's one signature. It's easy.
That's really gracious of you.
Well, yeah, hold on, I haven't finished yet.
Okay, come on.
So I said all that, then I said, but. No, I said that, of course, and I said, look, but and I did honestly mean this, I'm not just saying this to be an arsehole, to be like, hey, isn't Simon cool? I did say, if I was you, I would do exactly the same, but as a friend, I think it would, like, this isn't because I want you to sign a billion. Yes, of course I do want you to sign a billion, but this isn't really why I'm saying it. If you do sign to Sub Pop for the World, you will miss out on a lot of things, because no matter how wonderful Sub Pop is in America, they don't have the things that we have here. And that's not me blowing my trumpet, that's just truth. That's a fact. If the band arrive in Berlin, there's no one from Sub Pop to meet them. There's no one to take them around the radio. I have a network all over Europe that does that, and you know, it just makes absolute sense. It's nothing to do with I've got something better than you have. It's just the fact that in our territory we have a way better setup than Sub Pop do, and that's just the fact.
Sure.
And I just said, look, that is the fact, you know, and we would give you such a great home here. It would be like being on Sub Pop in America, and you know, I know what it's like. I know what it's like for bands to arrive in a foreign country, not knowing anyone, not knowing how to speak a word of the native language. It's quite scary, you know, and it's much nicer to turn up and have someone go, hey, you know, how are you? I'm here, let's go to the radio, and all that kind of stuff. And then I just sent it in my usual unedited way. And then about 3 days later, I got an email from the lawyer with the contract through.
Wow.
And he said, just saying the band would be delighted to sign the Berlin Union. So, you know, I breathed a hefty sigh of relief and thought, cool, I fucking did it. You know, it felt great. But of course, then the hard work begins. But one could not have predicted how well it would have gone. Normally, when you put records out, you know, you try this and nothing really happens, and then, you know, you try a few more things, and if you're lucky, you try 4 or 5 things. But if none of them work, you're kind of dead in the water because people have already moved on to the next record.
Sure.
But with Fleet Foxes, it was one of those, like, kind of, I don't know, once in a lifetime probably things where everything we tried worked.
Wow.
So it did all kind of hinge on a pivotal moment, which I have to thank the band for, because we went to radio with White Winter Hymnal to start with, and surprisingly they were like, yeah, it's very cute, you know, like it, but I don't think we can playlist it right now because blah blah blah. But then the heat on the band from the live shows and the press, it just was the momentum was really massive. So they kind of had to playlist it. Not initially, they weren't sure, but then I think the audience reaction and the sellout shows and just the momentum was crazy. So they put it on the playlist. But then we were on the 6 music playlist and stuff like that, which for that kind of band was, you know, obvious that you probably could get that kind of thing at that point in time. Harder now. But we knew that if we wanted to get the band, you know, more popular, we would have to get into Radio 1 and Radio 2 and that kind of world. Now, Radio 2 in today's world, well, Radio 1 also, neither Radio 1 nor Radio 2 today would have playlisted Fleet Foxes. But in 2008, we were just incredibly lucky. We were A-listed on Radio 1. I mean, can you imagine hearing Fleet Foxes on Radio 1 today? I mean, exactly, it's just like laughable.
I can't imagine hearing it back then on radio. Mind you, I didn't listen to it.
On Radio 1.
Wow. It's what?
Yeah, on Radio 1.
Yeah, auto-tune, yeah.
Well, the clincher was this track Mykonos, which actually, for those of you that know Fleet Foxes, you'll know it wasn't even on the album.
Well, that was my entry into them on an uncut CD, I think it was.
Yeah, it was on Sun Giant.
That's right, Sun Giant, yeah.
And obviously, we knew it was a brilliant track. It was like the most popular
it's
track
incredible,
live.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're thinking that would make a really brilliant single. But in those days, and probably now, radio would not playlist a track that wasn't on the album. So we had this bit of a dilemma because it wasn't on the album. It was on an EP called Sun Giant. And I didn't want to do something crass like repress the album with this extra track on, because that's just nonsense. But I knew that if we were to sort of like, so I flew to Zurich where the band were, and I presented them with this idea, like, what about if we put the EP in a double pack inside the record, so like you know, like a double CD, so you have the EP here and the album here, but the front cover remains the same, so it's still the album. So you're buying the album, you're getting a bonus CD in it. But what it means is I can put a sticker on the front of the record saying features the single Mykonos. Now, of course, it doesn't. The album doesn't feature, but the package does. And the band were like, yeah, do whatever you want, which I was not expecting them to say. I was expecting them to say, no, that's crass. Like, fuck radio, who cares? Just tell them to fuck off. No, I was expecting that, because I kind of would have probably said that. But they actually were like, no, that's really cool, because then you can have the EP and you can have the album in the same package. I was like, yeah, that is cool, isn't it? And we went back, we manufactured the record, we put the sticker on the front, we sent it to radio and said, here, and here's the new single, Mykonos, which is, of course, on the album, on this record here. And they went, yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? They playlisted it on Radio 1, and then they playlisted it on Radio 2. Now, the demographic of Radio 1 then was kind of probably similar to now, like, you know, 18 to sort of 30 or something, and the demographic of Radio 2 then was sort of 35 to 55. But the huge audience that Radio 2 has, the huge pull that Radio 2 has is that they are a CD buying, or well, they were then, I don't know so much now, they are a CD buying audience. So, you know, one thing led to another. You add up all these numbers. When we got to 100,000, which was only after a few weeks, I was like, what the fuck? You know, I could actually believe that it was happening. I thought that was it. I thought, well, now we've got to 100, that's it. We can just sit back and just relax a little bit, you know. But actually, that was just the beginning of it. Wow. And because I didn't know anything about TV advertising and all that kind of other stuff, it was like a massive learning curve. Oh, sorry, it was like a massive learning curve for me, because you know you can do really cool things on Channel 4 and on E4, and it doesn't really cost that much money. But the sales at that time, and I'm sure it doesn't have the same effect now, but I mean, we went from like 100 to 300,000 in about 3 weeks once we advertised on television. Wow. And then we got into the supermarkets, obviously, and that's a whole nother world. And I'm like, who are these people that are buying the records? Because I have no idea how this works. But, you know, it's fascinating, but not really. You know what I mean? Up to a point, it's just like numbers and figures. And it's really like, it is an incredible record. That's why people relate it to it.
Of course it is, yeah,
and it's an album that, you know, you can buy, but also your kids can like, and your auntie will like. It's a record for everyone. And what is, the moment I knew this band would be huge was at the second show they played in London at this place called Ulu. Which is a nice venue, and it's holds, like, I think it's 1,000 or 800. And they had a sold out show at Hoxton Bar and Grill, like for 250 people, about a month earlier, and then they sold out this show in like an hour. And I got there early, and I went down about 20 yards from the front of the stage just before they came, or quite long before they came on stage. So I had a nice position to listen to the band. And as it started to fill up over the next half an hour or so, I was like, wow, this is one of the strangest. I usually knew most people at the gigs that we put on. I usually know everyone, or at least know the kind of people that are going to be there. But at the Fleet Foxes show, the whole world was there, and that was something I'd never seen before, not on Belly Union, through Belly Union artists. You know, there was like an old man and his wife. You know, there was a 15-year-old kid. There was a just like every race and every genre, every age was there, all in about a square metre of where I was standing. I was like, something fucking going on with this band. Yeah.
Well, that was my experience, taking my 16-year-old son who in the car would be listening to the album with my 5-year-old son, and they both loved it. We all loved it. I mean,
It's a beautiful record.
it's an amazing record, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that amount of success? You know, I mean, this whole new landscape of success.
I just carry on exactly the same. I've seen,
Brilliant.
I've seen it all before,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Not to that level, but I have some good friends in the business. I actually was. I'm friends with Lawrence, who runs Domino. I'm not super close with him, but you know, I know him and I really like him a lot. I've worked with a few of his bands, produced James Yorkston's first album, and the Archie Bronson outfit and stuff like that. So I count him as a sort of friend. And I was in Austin with him at South by Southwest. That when I was with him when he got the call to say that Franz Ferdinand had sold 1 million records. And this is the point in my career where the label was not going that great, and I was like, "Geez, Lawrence, you know, how do you keep going? How do you keep doing it? What's the secret?" And he just laughed and said, "It's all about the 11th year, Simon. Just hang on till you've been doing it 11 years." And I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" You know, and he sort of smirked and laughed, and he went, "Somebody told me the same thing, and it worked. This is Franz Ferdinand is like, it's in our 11th year." I was like, "Okay, Lawrence, thanks for that." Psycho. And I went back to my life. I don't know what year that was. I can't quite remember.
2004?
Something like that.
5, something like that.
So then, here we are in 2008, and the Fleet Foxes have just sold 1 million records. Well, how many years is that since Belly Union started? 11 fucking years. So I'm like, the guy is like a sage. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. So, yeah, what was the question again? There wasn't one.
No, there's no questions.
Yeah.
Wow.